Here at the House of Justice. Give yourselves a hand for being here today. I would like to welcome everyone to the Huddle. We want to let you know why we huddle up for change and why we must continue to unite, to speak up, and be the change that we want to see in our own communities and all over this world. Here is where we help and unite dreamers to develop, lead, and empower. And of course, we cannot start out a Huddle Monday without prayer and scripture. So we're going to ask everyone to bow their heads now, and every movement should cease. Let us pray. Most gracious and wise God, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for the National Action Network. God, we have some of our Huddle family that stands in the need of prayer. God, we first ask you to cover our leader and founder, Reverend Sharpton. Cover our Executive Vice President, Attorney Michael Hardy. Continue to cover our members, Gina Williams, her Aunt Snooky, who stands right in the need of prayer, God. We ask you to cover Mother Ruth Johnson. We ask you to cover our youth leader, Giselle, God, for whatever it is they stand in need of. We ask you to meet them where their need is. God, we ask you to bless everyone that's making their way to the Huddle tonight, those who have the heart to be with us and those who just couldn't, but just online. Continue to be with them in this holy week. Continue to watch over them, God. We pray against mental illness, against gun violence. We pray against those affected by crime and hate crimes. God, thank you today for just being God. And this we ask, and all of your children said, amen. Our scripture for this evening comes from Matthew, the 21st chapter, verses 1 through 11. And when they drew nigh unto Jerusalem, and were come to Bethphage unto the Mount of Olives, then sent Jesus 2 disciples, saying unto them, Go into the village over against you, and straightway ye shall find an ass tied, and a colt with her. Loose them, and bring them unto me. And if any man say unto you, you shall say, The Lord has need of them, and straightway he will send them. All this was done, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet, saying, Tell ye the daughter of Zion, Behold, thy king cometh unto thee, meek and sitting upon an ass, and a colt, the foal of an ass. And the disciples went and did as Jesus commanded them, and brought the ass and the colt, and put them on their clothes, and set them free. And a very great multitude spread their garments in the way. Others cut down branches from trees, and strawed them in the way. And the multitudes that went before and that followed cried, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. And when he was come into Jerusalem, all the city was moved, saying, Who is this? And the multitude said, This is Jesus, the prophet of Nazareth of Galilee. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading, hearing, and understanding of his holy word. Right now, we're going to hop over into our Black History Fact of the Day. And we're going to have that read by our brother, Ernest Walters. So please receive him as he comes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good evening, everyone. The case of the Scottsboro Boys, which lasted more than 80 years, helped to spur the civil rights movement. The perseverance of the Scottsboro Boys and the attorneys and community leaders and supporters, their case helped to inspire several proponents, activists, and organizers. To Kill a Mockingbird, the prize-winning novel by white author Harper Lee, is also largely based upon the case. On March 25th, 1931, 9 African-American teenagers were accused of raping 2 white women aboard a Southern Railroad freight train in northern Alabama. Haywood Patterson, Orlean Montgomery, Clarence Norris, Will Robinson, Andy Wright, Ozzie Powell, Eugene Williams, Charlene Weens, and Roy Wright were searching for work when a racially charged fight broke out between passengers. The fight is said to have started with a young white man stepping on the hand of one of the Scottsboro boys. The young white man who were fighting were forced to exit the train. Enraged, they conjured up a story of how the black men were at fault for the incident. By the time the train reached Paint Rock, Alabama, the Scottsboro boys were met with an angry mob and charged with assault. Victoria Pace and Ruby Bates, 2 white women who were also riding the freight train, false charge of illegal sexual activities. In order to avoid these charges, they falsely accused the Scottsboro boys of rape.
Thank you so much, Ernest Waters, and thus ends our Black History Fact. Thank you so much. We're always excited when we have our chair and director's report, so we're going to welcome right now none other than our founder, Ashley Sharpton, everyone.
Thank you, Trees. Happy Huddle Monday. All right, so bear with me. My report is a little lengthy today. How's everybody doing? All right. All right. You should be able to guess my first announcement. What's coming up around April 10th, ending around April 13th? You can just shout it out. All right, convention. Who was not registered for convention in this room? That's excellent. That means that no hands went up for our online crowd. So that's excellent. Let's clap ourselves up. That's excellent. And I hope the same is for everyone that's watching, coming from near and far, for our convention at the Sheraton Hotel in Times Square. Which year is this that we're celebrating with the National Network Convention? 33rd. We're celebrating 33 years. Who knows which year for the convention it is? I'm looking at Trees because she might know. Anybody know? So which year is that? How many years? 21. The first one was the 23rd. 2003 was the first. Hello? Oh, sorry. 2003 was the first actual convention. Hello? Sorry. Technical difficulties. Yes, so the first actual convention we had with the National Network was in 2003. So this is the 21st annual convention, all right? So we've been doing this 21 years consecutively. All right, so members of the Biden administration, congressional Senate representatives, city and state, elected officials, and a host of artists, media personalities, clergy, activists, and many more will be in attendance in addition to all of us. Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark, Robert F. Smith, MSNBC's Joe Scarborough, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, U.S. Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield, National Urban League's Mark Morial, Maya Wiley, and New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy are just some of the featured speakers who will be there at this year's convention. The annual Keepers of the Dream Awards dinner will honor Whoopi Goldberg, Jeffrey Wright, Michelle Gatson-Williams, who is the global head of DEI at BlackRock, and Dr. Philip Ozua, who is the president and CEO at Montefiore Medicine. The Women's Empowerment Luncheon this year celebrates Stacey Abrams, Mika Brzezinski, Alexis McGill Johnson of Planned Parenthood, and other trailblazing women. I don't know if everyone knows, but have you checked out the site? Our schedule is open and it's up, our tentative schedule. Some names are missing, but the first day, of course, is Wednesday is up. Every day is up, actually. So you can check that out while you're listening right now. If you have your smartphones, you can just go to nationalactionnetwork.net and you can check out the convention website. It's the first, I believe it's the first thing on the banner. And you can check out the schedule. It went live on Friday. I'm excited about Youth in College Day. We will be honoring, I think Winston and Mommy might be the only people here who actually know Brother Prophet Willie Stiggers. He was the original, Lisa knows him too, but Chad wasn't here when he was here. Mommy and Winston, I don't think you were here either. Mommy was here. But basically, Willie Prophet Stiggers was the original, he was the pioneer of the youth move, Nan's youth move. Him and Brother Stevie D. And we were at the school at that time, the public school on 135th between Lincoln, 91. He was at the public school, and to me, to this day, I might get some flack on this, but he had the best introduction I've ever heard of my father. It became all over the world. If we had social media, it probably would have been viral, but it was incredible. And he had his own little rap, but it was fire. Prophet was fire. And to this day, he went on, he moved to Atlanta, and he continued the decency fight and made sure that basically those in the rap industry and hip hop industry made sure they protected why it was started, as he was one of those who was there when hip hop started. So he made sure certain things were done. But my biggest thing, and I was so proud to see, was that he started something called the Black Music Action Coalition, and basically they started some policy around, it's called the Rap Act, you can look it up. But basically that's what they're doing, they're going around the nation pushing that and making sure that our language in hip hop is proper, but also that our musicians and our artists are protected. So we're gonna salute him and we're gonna honor Brother Prophet and the Black Music Action Coalition for Nan Youth in College Day, so let's clap them up. And we all know 100 Black Men, right? We got a little echo. So for those who know Brother Mike Gardner and all those who have worked with us, so many have members of 100 Black Men. They even picketed with us on Thursdays, EI Thursdays. But we will be honoring Youth 100, which is their youth component in Harlem. They have helped so many of our young men, from Falivi to Lamine to Ahmed, as far as scholarships, as far as teaching them during the summertime, different things with our young men, especially 2 years ago. Since then, we've had a great partnership with them, but we'll be honoring their leadership as well for Youth in College Day. So make sure you bring your young people out. We have an exciting day full of activities for the young people, and our young leaders, Christian, he's not here today, Falivi and Usman all helped to develop that day. So we're excited bringing young people out. If you have youth groups that you want us to invite, or special, like different schools, if you have different groups in schools that are interested, like social justice interested or community-based, let me know, let Christian know, and we will send them an invitation. We are doing that by the end of this week, so definitely let us know. All right? A lot of y'all always say, oh, we want to partner. Give me their emails and let us invite them so they can see what we're about and we can properly partner, okay? Can I get it okay? All right. All right, so that's for convention. All right. Almost done. I told you I was lengthy. All right, the fight for DEI. I'm not going to go all the way in, but which week are we in? Word has been out there every week. Oh. There you go, 13. This is let's clap her up. Let's clap Word up. Word has been out there, one of the few. Naya. Word has been one of the few, and her sister. Say two, Mr. Few, but Word has been out there every week. Ernest Waters, you've been out there every week as well. Let's clap them up. That's not an easy task. Lisa, y'all have been out there every week, of course, under the leadership of Ronald McHenry, our New York City House of Justice coordinator. Christian has been there, but they have been there every week for the fight to protect, diversity, equity, and inclusion. As the weeks go by, and you'll hear we have another article, it's getting worse and worse, and it's intense, it's ridiculous, and I'm excited, actually. There's a panel during convention, basically with the leaders of this fight, to talk about where we literally go from here. Rev has been talking about it, but I think we need a little more breakdown, because it seems like it's not translating, and the urgency of this fight is not really we're not understanding it. So please pay attention today to the article Dominique will read, but also pay attention and make sure you fill up the DEI panel. It's several for convention, but there's one specifically on Wednesday that everyone needs to be a part of because they'll be laying out the agenda for the DEI fight. All right? Who knows what's going on with Haiti? Right, that's not enough of us, right. Okay, so Reverend Sharpton led a press conference with Mayor Eric Adams, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, several council members, Haitian faith and community leaders, and others this week to deliver an urgent call for the United States to intervene in Haiti and to do more to help stem the unrest. As the situation spirals out of control, they called on the federal government to do more immediately and to stand with the Haitian community during this difficult time. Hundreds of thousands have been displaced, countless dead, 2 out of 3 children are in need of urgent assistance, and the situation in Haiti is only worsening by the day. Reverend Sharpton and others called on the U.S. government to investigate the flow of American guns trafficked to Haiti to aid gangs. Leaders at the press conference stressed the importance of working together and showing a united front to address the turmoil. Reverend Sharpton said that in addition to leading prayer services, we will travel to Washington, D.C. and push for resources and an investigation into the gun traffickers. He also stated that once the situation on the ground is safe, they will organize a delegation to Haiti. I'm almost done. I just want to read this. This is important. All right, with that said, I didn't want to leave. I found an important article about the humanitarian crisis that's happening or issues that's happening all over the world. And all of us, there's a lot of outrage, of course, ceasefire now, of course. We stand with that, but there's a lot of things happening around. And the outrage, it seems to be silent, or very, 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 very few. So I just wanted to underline what is going on from Gaza to Africa, and just make sure you guys are aware, and when you see the calls to action, let's help support them. The U.S. ceasefire resolution has been vetoed as famine is imminent in Gaza. After vetoing 3 previous ceasefire resolutions at the UN Security Council, the U.S. introduced its own resolution on March 22nd. The text notes that the necessity of an immediate and sustained ceasefire to protect civilians on all sides and lend support to one as part of a deal for the release of 134 remaining hostages held by Hamas and other Palestinian factions in Gaza. But Russia and China vetoed the resolution, with the Russian diplomat calling it misleading and a Chinese diplomat saying it fell short of the expectations of the international community. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterated his intent to launch a ground invasion of Rafah, the southernmost city in Gaza, where over 1 million displaced Palestinians are sheltering in dire conditions. The UN and world leaders have warned that an invasion of Rafah will be a humanitarian disaster beyond imagination. 2 newly released food insecurity analyses underscore the scale of the crises that already exist, particularly in the north, predicting imminent famine in Gaza due to Israel's destruction of essential infrastructure, siege, and hampering of aid efforts. It is too late to avert a humanitarian disaster that is going to kill thousands, if not tens of thousands of people. That's the bottom line. Now, Haiti. The ongoing gang violence and political vacuum in Haiti is having a drastic humanitarian impact. On March 22nd, the leading global authority on hunger, known as the IPC, reported that about 5 million people will face acute food insecurity or worse from March to June, an increase of 532,000 people on its last report in August. Meanwhile, only 5% of Haiti's population of 11.6 million received food assistance August to December. The closure of the port and gang roadblocks are forcing aid organizations to scramble assistance any way they can. On March 20th, the World Food Program was only able to deliver 11,500 hot meals instead of 14,000 due to security and access difficulties. Violence in Port-au-Prince has reached unprecedented levels since gangs joined forces to oust acting Prime Minister Ariel Henry on February 29th. At least 18 health centers have been forced to close in the capital, while diseases are spreading in makeshift camps. More than 33,000 people have now left Port-au-Prince in less than 2 weeks. Can y'all imagine how many people that is in less than 2 weeks that's moving? A plan backed by the U.S. and negotiated with Haitian politicians and civil society actors by the regional CARICOM group is being rolled out to try to restore calm. This involves the setting up of a transitional presidential council that will name a new interim prime minister, hopefully paving the way for elections with the assistance of thousands of foreign police and security forces. But the plan faces some strong opposition in Haiti, notably from some gangs with political ambitions of their own. Dozens of people have been killed in the past few days as gang violence and vigilante retaliation rages. On March 21st, the UN resident coordinator said 2,500 people were killed, kidnapped, or injured in the violence in the first 2 months of the year. There's also a rise in violence in South Sudan. I'm gonna keep going. The U.S. military has kicked out of Niger as the violence there increases as well. And at least 54 people have died from cholera in Somalia, which is in Africa. So right now, our nation, if we read all around what's going on, and I haven't underlined the good, but what's going on as far as the bad is what's going on, it's dangerous. It's crazy, and it's gonna lead to worse if there's no resolve. All I can say personally, we live in America. And our government, we are only responsible for what our government is doing. And those who believe, we believe and we pray and we do what we have to do in our own way. But as far as the federal government, as far as them providing money to help continue to not help these people, it's absolutely ridiculous. As far as what's going on with Haiti, I stand with Reverend Sharpton and the mayor and everyone else who's calling for them to investigate, but I ask them to expedite that investigation as well. People are dying, people are hungry, people are starving, so we don't need the political show. No, I'm not offending anybody, I'm not saying anybody is acting, but there's a lot of politics that I read in this, as far as the president, as far as who's in charge, but people are dying. Same thing happening in Gaza, people are dying and people are worried about politics. So I ask you to put your heart before the politics. People that are going around outside that have all these opinions about all that, people are dying, I'll say that again, for no reason. Netanyahu is they just said 1 million people, he's about to go where they're hiding, where they're in shelter, he's about to just go and bomb it because there's no response. So what are we gonna do? Hashtags are not enough.
That's right.
Screaming ceasefire now is not enough. So what we need to do is make sure that, right now we have an election happening in November, correct?
That's right.
So we need to make sure that our demands matter. Not just what's going on internationally, but also what's going on the ground here. So we need to come together. What do we have coming up in a few weeks, y'all? A convention. And the greatest thing we need to come out that convention is with an agenda. Agenda that we all can agree with. We'll have leaders from all around the country, and they will have an agenda for us. But you have a chance to help set the agenda because there's questions and answers at every panel that we have. You have to make us set the agenda for the people.
That's right.
Make us put your issues on the agenda. And I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. It's on us to set the agenda for the rest of this year, for the National Action Network, and for all of us going forward as a movement.
Right.
So I dare you to be present, and I dare you to be prepared. Look at the schedule. Look who is coming, and be prepared. Don't just ask the questions that you want to ask to somebody, because they might not have the answers for you.
That's right.
That's why there's a set schedule and agenda, so you know exactly what's going on. DEI, be prepared to ask those questions. We have 2 international panels about these issues. Be prepared to ask those questions. Okay?
That's right.
I'm done. Those are yours.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Put your hands together again for our chair and director. She gave y'all a wealth of knowledge, and I hope you were listening intently. So right now, we're always excited to talk about some things that's happening here at the House of Justice, and let's consider our announcements in the field. So on this Thursday, who knows what this Thursday is here at the House of Justice? Not you, Ashley. Put your hand down. Who could tell us what this Thursday is? The last Thursday of the month is what at Nan? Oh, Hardy, Attorney Hardy would be so thrilled right now. You got it right. This is our legal night that's happening here Thursday, March the 28th. And we invite all of you who have issues or just need to speak to an attorney, bring your documents, they sit and speak to you. We are normally here making it happen. We're online, thanks to Ashley and JT, and we're also in person. So we invite you to be a part of that. Is everyone an updated member? Come on, tell me the truth. Y'all clapping, that means y'all updated or y'all lifetime? Which one is it? All right, I love that lifetime word, but it's okay, because if you're not an updated member for the year, you can renew your membership This applies to you and those who are not members. The best way to stay informed of the action is to become a member of this wonderful organization. 33 years, 21 years having a convention. Come on, you got to be a part of us. You can text your state, followed by the word justice, followed by your state to 59769. And of course, I always encourage you to be here on Saturday, as Gino would say. Get here early to get a seat. Get here at about 8:30, and we will make sure that we get you a seat to be a part of our Saturday action rally. And if you can't come, it's okay. We on every social media you can think about, so there's no excuses. While you're in there making your grits, tune in to nationalactionnetwork.net. We'll see you on Saturday as we end our Black History Month. We love it. Right now, this is where we open up for good news. So as you come up, and remember, it's good news. It's not announcements. It's not telling us where you're going to be next Thursday. It's good news that you haven't shared with us since last Monday. And I want to start off with some good news. There is a $5.8 billion in new student loan forgiveness that targets first responders and teachers. Good news, isn't it? This latest round of student loan forgiveness, announced Thursday, follows fixes made to the Public Service Loan Forgiveness, or PSLF. Eligible borrowers will start receiving notification emails from the Education Department starting next week. In addition, another 380,000 borrowers who have 2 years or less to go before receiving a PSLF forgiveness will receive emails of encouragement from President Joe Biden. The president will thank them for their service and urge them to stay on track so that they can wipe out their student loan debt on schedule. We hope this relief provides borrowers and their families so much needed breathing room, said James, Undersecretary of the Department of Education, in a press release. This latest wave of student debt cancellation is tied to a payment count adjustment for PSLF, an income-driven repayment. The adjustment gives student loan borrowers credit for payments that fail to count toward loan forgiveness due to erroneous rules or mistakes by loan servicers. Since October 2021, the White House has eliminated $143.6 billion of student loan debt for about 4 million borrowers, with $62.5 billion of that from PSLF forgiveness efforts. So shout out to the administration. I know I said a couple of weeks ago, we want to see what they're doing. They out here, they doing $5.8 billion. I mean, what can you say about that? So I encourage all of our huddlers, our seasoned and not so seasoned, to come up and share some good news that's had happened and you want to share with the group. Come on up. Come and tell us some great news. We love to hear great news. Yep, line on up. Come on up. Hello, my dear brother. Tell us some good news and tell us your name.
Hey, what's up? My name's DGL7. I have a gift. Is there a young person here? This is a gift for you. Yeah, I brought a gift. Anybody who wants it. Yeah, if you have a young one, I'll give it to you. Anybody who wants a gift right here. So it's a puzzle for children, right? Yeah? Okay. Thank you. Now, the thing is that I feel very, the good news is that being an Asian American, I've been faced with a lot of frustrations getting help with my issues, but I'm here at the National Action, the pioneers of the civil rights movement, the black people, which I want to give them mad thanks for. But unfortunately right now, if you look up Harvard right now, Harvard Study in Management, and look up the term Asian, because the Asians are the last to get, to become managers. And why is this? Because the pioneers of the civil rights movement taught us that without political power, nothing to achieve, accomplish, or sacrifice will be respected, appreciated, or celebrated. So thank you. I'm very pleased to be here. Another thing that I'm pleased to be here is that, just so you know, being Korean American, my people starved. And when they sang "We Are the World, We Are the Children," no one sang for us. Right now, we're on the brink of nuclear war. We've been at the same timeline as Palestine, Israel. No one cares about us. So right now, what I'm very happy to do is see that I'm also getting Haitians together on the 30th, as well as Kenyans. And people talk about the Third Reich, right? The victims of, the Nazis. Did you know that the Nazis, also there was a Second Reich? There was a second Reich, and they killed off Namibians, but we don't care about them because they're black? Because they're right. So also Namibian, a guy who's suing the United Nations, will be with me on the 30th. And also, after we come together, we're going to actually, with the power of National Action Network, they're bringing the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations to the event. I'm very excited to be a part of that. Thank you so much. And last of all, the DEI discussion. A lot of times, Asian Americans been left out. And like I said before, and that's why I'm so proud to be here, because without a political education, your regular education, what is it worth? Can you name an Asian American scientist? No, you can't. I know Lewis Latimer. I know George Washington Carver. Blacks have many civil rights pioneers, right? Like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Al Sharpton, right? Yeah. I know he has critics, but he's a pioneer in this. But how many Asian American activists do you know? None? What is this? It's time for that to change, and I'm glad to make my mark here at National Action Network. Thanks again. God bless. And that's good news. And it's thanks to y'all. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you. Jimmy J. Wide Awake. I got some good news. This is my third week here as a member. I remember 3 weeks ago. My good news is I took some flyers up to the Kingsbridge Hospital. I'm in touch with the president, which I should have took his name, but he's the president of the DAV, which is the Disabled Veterans. And they were so excited and thrilled about getting it. He said, yo, where's it at? I'm ready to get the paper. When is it? Come down and register. He gonna get all the people. I posted it all over the hospital. They were so excited to see and do something. You know, this is where you could do something if you don't know where to come, you know, in March and, you know, get things done. This is a great place. And I need some more flyers because I got some more places to go to put them up. Thanks for letting me share.
We love the good news. Keep spreading the word. Thank you so much, and we adore you for being a member.
Hi, good day, everybody, and God bless everybody. My name is Sister Reverend Word, and there's a particular word that's become a major part of my vocabulary, and that's good news. The word is vote. So whatever way I could fit it in there, I'm putting the word vote in there. Rationally, I'm going to fit in there. So today, my good news is I will be early voting. In New York. Now, early voting, thank God, is allowed in a lot of states. Please take advantage of the opportunity based on your own schedule, but please make time to vote. A lot of us here, particularly at National Action Network, have a lot of good ideas in terms of how the politicians can do this and do that, but we need the right politicians in office for that to happen. We need to vote appropriately to support this democracy. So people will get recognized, including this brother, and his culture will be recognized, because that's what DEI is about also. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, to include everybody. But we got to start where we are, and we'll grow from that if we do the right thing and vote. God bless you all.
We love the good news. Come on, Marcus Al. Come on, tell us some good news to everybody.
My good news, I go to children's church. I must go to children's church.
Marcus Al went to children's church yesterday. Go ahead, Marcus Al. Children's church.
So, my good news is I talked to Latasha Johnson and Sister Ruth Johnson. She's moving around different hospitals, but she's doing better. She was out with us at DEI, and she was hospitalized. And so her daughter was in contact with me, and I kept in contact with them, and she said her mom is getting better and told me where the hospital is at. So, you know, those of you that know her, if you want to know, I have the text on my phone.
Thank you so much, and she was part of our prayer today. Come on, Joachim, wrap us up with some good news. Good news.
All right, well, the good news is today, all you Democrats, it's the Democratic primary, so I don't hear you saying that. Started today. And the good news that some people might not know if it's such a good news, but President Biden is suing Apple. And all of you have to call Apple because they it's a franchise and it's all over the world, and it seems that they're not really behaving like a franchise. And so that company could become bigger than the government because it's all over the world. So everybody call because they put accessibilities in all the phone, and I was in the Apple store the other day, and the guy saw my phone where all the toggle switch were turned on as if I had a disability, because the government gives more money for people with disabilities and some people around them. So it's good news that Biden is taking a stand and suing with the Department of Justice Apple. And so I want to tell you, like Dunkin' Donuts is a franchise, so they're not supposed to sell their coffee in the supermarket because people buy the franchise. Why are you going to go out to Dunkin' Donuts if you could have it in your house? Franchises aren't supposed to do that. So that's also good news and awareness.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Come on, Sister Sandra, wrap us up on our good news.
Good news is I'm a survivor.
I love it. Well, that was good enough. That wrapped up the whole section. I love it. I'm a survivor. I know that's right. So now we're going to hop into what we consider did you know? So we don't know. Maybe you didn't and maybe you do. But to talk about what you didn't know about the PPP fraud. Y'all remember PPP? A lot of people, see, look at that. Ashley, this is going to be good. Because, actually, nobody raised their hand. I think they forgot all about PPP. So come on, Ashley, tell us about some PPP fraud.
Y'all don't remember the PPP loans? It didn't say nothing. Oh, okay. Maybe this one is not for y'all. Okay. That's good. Y'all some good, wholesome people here. Hold on. Okay. Let me get it together. All right. So the title of this article is, yes, PPP had fraud. I still defend a level playing field for women and minorities. So listen closely. This is an interesting article, but I thought it was important. Okay. Last summer, I'm reading from the article's author of the article, okay? Not me. Last summer, I was sentenced to 54 months in prison for submitting false financial statements to the federal government in my application to become a PPP lender in 2020. On January 19th, I began serving my sentence. Come on, babies, we need y'all to be quiet. I'm so sorry. Come on, parents, work with us. Come on, parentals, all right. I make no excuses about my crime. It was the biggest mistake of my life, and I will suffer the consequences through my time in prison and the impact on my family as a result. But if any greater good comes from what I did, I hope it is to expose a long-standing issue that is likely to get worse: the lack of financing options for small businesses owned by people of color. With the Supreme Court's recent decision regarding college admissions, the very programs that have attempted to level the playing field for women and minority businesses are under threat. Those of us who have spent our careers fighting for better economic pathways for disadvantaged business owners must prevent these programs from suffering the same fate as affirmative action. Minority-owned businesses have a massive impact on the economy, accounting for approximately 2.2 million direct and indirect jobs across the United States. But studies show Black and Hispanic-owned firms applying for loans are rejected more often and are less likely to receive the full amount for which they are applying compared to their white counterparts. The pandemic exacerbated this problem. The U.S. government's $1 trillion payroll protection program, that's PPP, the payroll protection program, was designed to keep businesses afloat and people employed, and the government took steps to make the loans flow as fast as possible. But minority-owned businesses were once again shut out. According to a 2021 small business credit survey by the Federal Reserve Banks, Black-owned firms were 5 times more likely to be denied the PPP funding as white-owned firms. While the Black-owned hair salon on Main Street couldn't get a traditional bank's attention, companies like the Los Angeles Lakers and Shake Shack were receiving millions of dollars in PPP loans. This was not necessarily the SBA's fault, but it was the reality. In the summer of 2020, the Small Business Administration recognized the problem and changed course. That's when I committed my crime. Facing pressure, the SBA sought lenders like mine with track records of lending to small minority-owned companies. At first, I applied as a technology partner for the National Minority Supplier Development Council. When the SBA denied their application, the agency asked my firm, MBE Capital, to apply instead. Responding to SBA's request, I submitted false financial statements to win approval. The worst explanation for what I did is greed. The best is that I felt this would be an extension of what I have done for my whole career, helping disadvantaged companies survive a crisis. The truth is probably a combination of the two. But despite my crime, after receiving approval, my company did exactly what it was asked to do. We lent over $1 billion to more than 38,000 small businesses and even turned down 72,000 loans that did not meet our standards. A lot of money. We made banks like Chase, Bank of America, Citibank, Carver Bank, Lindio, Crowds, and Equitrust over $34 million in partner fees. I didn't victimize small businesses or steal a dime of taxpayer funding. My crime was submitting false information about my company to the federal government, and for this I take full responsibility. PPP was built on the foundation of inequity and exacerbated a cycle in which disadvantaged businesses were left behind. Yes, it was rife with fraud, and the justice system will do its job in prosecuting individuals who stole the funds or lied to become a lender like I did. However, justice is not confined to issues of crime and punishment. A truly just society would ensure the same economic opportunities for every person. But following the Supreme Court's ruling on affirmative action, we have already seen conservative attorney generals target DEI efforts at Fortune 100 companies. The next target will likely be set aside for minority-owned construction contractors or non-bank financing programs for disadvantaged businesses. This is a dangerous trend, and we must take steps through legislation, elections, and activism to fight it. I hope that after I have paid my debt to society, I can prove myself to be part of the solution, as I have endeavored to be for decades prior. Rafael Martinez. So my question is, there was a lot, but hope you understood what was happening in there. Was 2. How can we ensure that women and minorities have equal access to business opportunities and a level playing field? And 2, what steps can be taken to address fraud and ensure accountability in government programs like PPP? Come up and tell us.
Well, first of all, you have to understand that always I talk about because things are lawful, they're not expedient. So when they're denying these people these loans because of all the red tape, maybe it's not so expedient for all of the red tape. Now, with that being said, you also have to put into place people checking to see if you're actually doing. This person here said, I was giving out the money to the people. So the only thing I did was lie to get the money to give to the people. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gave it to me. So how do you fight something when you're put into a conundrum like that? You have to take out the conundrum, take out the red tape so that it could be offered. Then when it is offered, you say, all right, are you following the protocol? So they give back their paperwork. They check out the paperwork, follow the paper trail. You can see if somebody's doing their business or not. But if you don't give them the money to start with, and they got to lie to you to get it, then how do you just tell me that I'm not going to give you money to give the people and then say, well, all right, you lied to get it, now you gave it to the people, but we're going to lock you up. Because you did right with what, you understand? So you tie your hands like that. Untie the people's hands, and then you won't have such a problem.
Thank you, Anthony. Sister Word.
Yeah, it goes back to, of course, you got to vote for the right politicians who will listen to a person who's had this experience and give this person credit for understanding what the real purpose of that money was for if they did the right thing. So again, it goes back to diversity. We don't know who's on the board, but obviously a bunch of races. Obviously.
Right.
So diversity is necessary at every level, and this is a situation that proves that. This is an actual business person who made every effort to properly and correctly and lawfully report what their business is about. And when he lawfully did that, they denied him because of race. It's racism. So when he did what he did, which is not right, but it's a learning experience now, this man is an expert on how to treat businesses that really do want to help people. He's an expert now. So when he gets released, give him some props and use his expertise to stop this problem. Diversity, equity, inclusion is very, very necessary. They can't even get around that. They can't get around that. And the DEI Thursdays, we are reminding them, you can't deny DEI is necessary. That's the reality. So we got to vote for the right people and give this man some props when he gets released.
Thank you, Sister Word. Well said.
I remember back in the 70s, my grandmother, my grandmother sold. She sold food. The government had to come in to check her apartment out to make sure it was clean. And that's how she made her money. She didn't ask the government for 1 red cent. I remember the moms and pop stores back in the 70s and the 60s. And now, what are we gonna do? We have to sell to our own people, you know? Thank you.
Thank you, Sister.
Yes, I understand, we need money to open up businesses and do great things, but if we have to help and back it. But why we keep going there when we got millionaires and billionaires out here that we don't have, we could go to them, to your family, to your people, to get finance, through our own self. We got to stop keep going to other people to finance businesses. We got to finance businesses ourselves. We got to get together and have banks that will help us finance. Even our own family doesn't do that. I got brothers that got money. If you ask them for a little something, man, they turn it the other way. They hoarding stuff up there. They got 2 dozen this and that in their house. But if you say, can I get that? No. You know how much that costs? It's not about hoarding and having things that cost a lot. It's about helping out, giving that stuff away. Stop trying to sell stuff to our people. You got extra stuff, give it to someone. Find somebody who uses it and give it to them. Stop asking for money. Stop asking them to help us. We got to start helping ourselves. That's the bottom line of that. We got to start loving ourselves up, that we don't need them no more. We're strong people. We got things here, man. We got people who got billions. Why we got to ask them for things? Why we can't help each other out? The other races, they do that. They sit together, they pool their money, and they get houses and cars. What are we doing, man? It hurts me. I was talking to some people up there about coming down here. They didn't want to come down here. They was, no, they ain't going to do nothing. What vote's going to do? That's not going to work. And they were so negative, man. I got exhausted trying to talk to them, about standing up. But we got to pay attention to our people and do for our own self. Thanks for letting me share that.
Thank you, brother. That was powerful. And we need more loudmouths like him to help wake the people up.
That's right.
Hi, I want to say that our country is a free country, and that's why sometimes we have a lot of red tape, but everybody has to open up their eyes because our UN is not doing their job, or else there wouldn't be all these wars. And in Europe, they made the euro, and the euro got rid of Europe's individual countries and their history. And that's what they want to do to us. They want to erase our history. So I myself applied for MWB, Women and Minorities, years ago. And I had all my papers. And a lot of people in the office, when the top people are fooled, everything else falls down. Because the top are the people who are the pencil pushers and the doers and shakers, and a lot of the people with the wealth. If they're tricked, everything else falls down. And because I also even tried, I owned a house without a mortgage, and when I went into the bank for a simple line of credit, I was denied, and there was no way I could be denied because a lot of people, there's organized crime. And that's what we have to look out for. So when you remember, the euro copied like over our UN. And the euro got rid of many countries. There are many nations that don't exist, and each country, with the elderly people, they wanted to change their money, and their money, like our money, has our history. I cried when they took the Native American and the buffalo off of our nickel. And that was so important because there was minorities, the flying nickels, too, because Aborigines people were all over the world. So we have to speak up for the institutions that tell what's going on. And our television is the fourth dimension. Okay, so that means it's life, and the time was different, and only in the 70s, presidents and leaders talk on the TV. We were never supposed to be charged for it, so we're in trouble.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonka. Last comment?
A lot of the PPP loans, I believe, that were given to the big companies were actually forgiven, correct? Yeah, like they didn't even have to pay it back. So many of the things that we say that are actually supposed to be for us, right? Like public housing, actually is a new form of apartheid, affordable housing. They weaponize what they say is for us against us. And the thing is that without political power, nothing right, like I said before, actually what happens is that without political power, your achievements are not something to be celebrated, they're a threat. Right, so the thing is that, once again, I'm actually, Carmen Quinones, she's actually a tenant association of Douglas Houses, one of the largest, one of the most well-known tenant associations in public housing. I'm supposed to go to a fundraiser right now. Once again, you guys got to empower yourselves, and that's why I'm so proud of National Action Network and actually taking care of activism versus you can't rely on regular education. This is what you need. You need activism for real. So thanks again to the people that showed up. Without that, you'll never get justice. Thanks for your work.
Thank you, God. Thank you, brother. And this story, everybody, thank you for all you said. Rafael Martinez, thank you for writing this. And like you said, some companies just were completely forgiven, while some people are literally in jail serving time for doing what others did and are still doing. But that's why DEI is important, and that's why we're outside fighting for this. And that's why we have people on the inside of the small business community and to the top. We have to make sure that we are accountable and hold them accountable and put the right people in place. Thank you, Patrice.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Woo! See, look at that. We opened it up and everybody was like, what? What's PPP? They thought that was my initials. No, Ashley broke it down. Okay, so let's hop into my Did You Know? Let me see. How many of you remember the name Jordan Neely? Oh, okay. That's a lot of hands. I love it. Judge sets trial for Marine who fatally choked Jordan Neely on the New York City subway. A judge announced Wednesday that the former Marine who put a black homeless man in a fatal chokehold on New York City subway last year will be put to trial in October. On May 1st, Daniel Penny, 24, held Jordan Neely, 30, in a chokehold on the floor of a subway until his body went limp. Two others also helped restrain Neely, who was pronounced dead on the scene. The encounter was captured in a 3-minute video by witnesses and journalist Juan Alberto Vasquez, who said that Neely had been yelling about not having food or water just prior to Penny placing him in a chokehold for close to 15 minutes. Now, y'all know 15 minutes is long. The man got on the subway car and began to say a somewhat aggressive speech, saying he was hungry, he was thirsty, that he didn't care about anything. He didn't care about going to jail. He didn't care that he gets a big life sentence, Vasquez told NBC New York, that it doesn't even matter if he died. Neely was well known by locals for his Michael Jackson impersonation and dancing, which he would perform on subway stations, the New York Times reported. The incident sparked outrage from the public, with many linking his death to a reflection of a larger issue involving race, homelessness, crime, and mental illness. The New York Office of Chief Medical Examiner ruled that Neely's death was a homicide caused by compression of the neck. Protests erupted in the subway station and on the streets of New York shortly after Neely's killing, with people demanding justice. In a statement last year, Penny's lawyers claimed that Neely had been aggressively threatening Penny and others on the subway and that Penny acted in self-defense. Vasquez said that Neely was being aggressive, but not specifically threatening, and did not appear to want to attack anyone. When Mr. Neely began aggressively threatening Daniel Penny and the other passengers, Daniel, with the help of others, acted to protect themselves until help arrived. Daniel never intended to harm Mr. Neely and could have foreseen his untimely death, the attorney said. Penny was later charged with manslaughter in the second degree and pleaded not guilty. His trial will begin on October the 8th and will go on for 4 to 6 weeks. Judge Max Wiley said, according to ABC News, If found guilty for the second-degree manslaughter charges, Penny could face up to 25 years in prison. Attorneys for Neely's family appear to suggest that the manslaughter charges were not severe enough and call for Penny to be charged with murder. Is that enough for someone who choked someone on a train and took their life? Lennon Edwards, one of the Neely family attorneys, said at the news conference last year after the charges were announced, "Justice looks like a conviction for murder. We need a full cup of justice here, and we're asking for us to continue to press forward until that happens." Just know that National Action Network, we were outside the courthouse on the day that they said they're going to charge him. And it was just an eerie feeling when we went there, but I'll close with my thoughts on that. But I do have a question. Do you think that they keep pushing the trial back so that we will eventually forget about it? How can we keep the flashlight, as Rev says, on this case? So do you think that they keep pushing it back so we just eventually say, oh, dust it under the rug, it's all right? Or do you think, how can we keep a flashlight on this so that justice happens for Jordan Neely? Come up with your thoughts. Come on up. Come on up. Tell us your thoughts.
Well, I think it's a shame that the guy did that, because you could actually feel a person's body going limp when they are knocked unconscious. You'll feel that. You know they no longer, because their body will fall out. We got to stop killing each other, our own people, for anyone to take us serious. So they're going to let it go for a while till we forget. But when we killing our own people out here, no one is taking our life serious, so they'll let it brush by. But we got to start to get unity and love for the younger ones at an early age to keep them from being exploited by the rappers and the rap music, calling our sisters this and that, disrespectful names. Music, we got to reach the children early with cadets, chess, ball, activities with good, strong men there where they don't come in there to threaten us. We got to raise up a whole new choice of children now, and people. And we got to show improved respect for each other so that we can get justice for when our black sisters and brothers die. We got to start loving each other so much that they be scared to kill any one of us, because we all going to come out and step up, right? We can't just, some of us step up, and be worried until it happens to you, and then you want to run the rev, because this is the only place you can run. You know what I'm saying? Or either you just suck it up and go on about, say, well, there's nothing I could do. And once a person is died, no kind of justice to the victim or the culprit who did it is really going to satisfy anything. The person is dead already. The thing is now to look at prevention, not punishment, to study that. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you. That was good. Come on, sis, tell us.
As I was looking at Malcolm X movie, and when that white cop said that Malcolm X, that man has too much power, we have to keep on marching, because he was hungry. Why didn't that, I was in a Accessoride, and this Marine said, this older guy, he must have been about 70, he said, that's what Marines do. But you don't do that to people. I feed even myself. I may not have enough, but I'd sit down. If I could give you $2 or $3, how can I stand and somebody is opening a door and I'm walking into a restaurant and I don't help him to eat? That's not fair. And God, we will get punished by God. But doing that Marine should have took him off the train, and then he decided to say he had mental illness because they threw him out of the Air Force or the Marines because he had. Now he wants to say he had mental illness. Something's wrong. We got to keep marching till we know that the justice will stop with them.
Thank you so much.
Okay, this case happened in New York City, so we know who the New York County District Attorney is, Alvin Bragg. This case is not getting, whatever you want to call it, forgotten. The charges are in, the trial is set. Jordan Neely has family. They're not going to forget. Jordan Neely's family has attorneys. They're not going to forget. So it's going to be taken care of. For whatever reason, due process can be a long time, but this due process is scheduled and it's going to take place. So the video's there. They can't explain anything other than what's actually in the video. This man thought he was a supremacist, that he could choke a harmless, homeless black man who was really in a state of depression, and he's voicing it loud, but not really harming anybody else. It's clearly murder. You can really clearly see that. So the case is going to proceed. God willing, the jury, which we have to pray that they do their due process, because some juries really don't understand and need to understand how important them really paying attention and obeying the law. And if the person is guilty, guilty. And obviously, I believe this person is guilty. So we just have to, we have a lot of things we got to do, but trust and believe, if we're not on the set in that way, somebody else is on the set that's going to take care of it. And God bless them all in their work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love these comments. Come on. Our last two, and we're going to wrap it up.
So, in order to keep it alive, it would be good to I had mine on the social media. I was there, so I put it on the social media. Pin it up. Pin it up. Then pin up all the other stuff that they doing. When I was a kid in the projects, you could go to anybody's house, knock on their door, say, I'm hungry. My mom ain't home. Is my friend here? Now, people so divided. Why? They divided us to try to conquer us. I was in South Carolina. My sister bought a little plot of land so that all the kids could come through. And I was waiting for my cousin Poos. Somebody hit her with a car and killed her because she was stealing clothes to support her habit. And I was looking for her. She's mad at me because I don't like to go to funerals. And she said, what's wrong with you? And I looked at her and I said, Poos, I love you. She said, good answer. So when you take love and you utilize it, even the man that strangled them, you go and deal with your tenses. And then, maybe the jail system need to change about how they need to bring the people and have them doing some community service and let them see how good it is to help, You got to keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi, I think to keep this case under the flashlight, we should make something bad into something good. The Marines are sovereignty of the flag. And I myself am a Marine military theater, a Marine amphibian. And somebody is stealing my whole identity as a teacher, everything else. So I think we have to scrutinize the military and make it a big issue with the Department of Defense, because some people were very sad that they couldn't go into the military, people that have seizures or have a club foot, because I spoke to them and they said they want to serve, but they can't, and they don't understand it's for their own good. So I think this guy may have not been a legitimate getting entrance into the military because they said he left, and poverty is not a crime, and we have to focus on this, and we have to have love and charity. So I think we should focus on Marines, understanding that it's Sempre Fidelis, which is always keep the faith, it's the sovereignty of the flag, and we have to unite with making sure that people are really who they say they are, and we get accountability, and we may he get the help he needs, because I think he needs help, because no one should squeeze somebody to death.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And our last comment from Anaya. So do you think that we should, do you think they're trying to push the case so that we can forget about it? And how can we keep the flashlight on it?
Absolutely, they're trying to do that. They're probably discarding this young man as a homeless man, saying how dangerous it is in the subway systems and things of that nature. I'm not going to go too long because I have this kid with me tonight, but I just wanted to share a quick little testimony. King, have a seat somewhere, please. So, Mal, you want to help out, King? Okay, so real quick, what was I going to say? Okay, recently I was in a situation whereas I felt like there was somebody in our presence where I'm located right now that was a part of, the K couple of, letters with the K's. And literally what I wanted to share about that was your gut feeling tells you when something is wrong. Our intuition, especially as Black people that are connected to their ancestors, we have something inside of us that says that there is something going on with this person. And usually I would be very quiet, but I did not feel safe at all. So what I proceeded to do was put out like an SOS on social media, because I said, if something happens, at least it's documented somehow that I don't feel safe. There's cameras everywhere, and literally this man needs to be looked upon. The following day, confirmation hits. Several of my Jamaican comrades literally felt the same way, and my compadres and I talked about it, and it was like, wow, we were on the same page. Now, what do I have to say about that? Like, literally, we as a people are always put down and always like discarded until it's election season. We've been talking about that a lot tonight, and unfortunately it seems like we're never heard. And I hate to sound negative, because me, I'm trying to keep it real, but at the end of the day I really don't know what else to do, because we had this happen to a Black man in a subway system in New York City in the 2020s. This wasn't in 1924. This was recently, fam. So I wanted to share that, like, I really am so disappointed in America right now, but at the end of the day, we have to keep the fight going. And I'm not saying anything about Haiti, because y'all know I've cried a whole lot, and I've stood a whole lot, and I've fought a whole lot. And unfortunately, we have gone back hundreds of years, and it's a disgrace. So whoever is watching in the political arena, just know I'm disgusted. And Joe Biden, don't forget, you came to Miami. You got on your knees to beg the Haitian people for their vote. God bless America.
Thank you so much, and that's going to wrap up my Did You Know? And the underlying problem is, are we really doing enough to help the mentally challenged? Because the word does say, all that's going to matter is, did you feed the hungry and did you clothe the naked? Nothing else really matters. So stand up. We're going to be out there October 8th like we were before. They were shocked when they turned around and saw all of us out there. But we will be there again. If none of his family is there, his Nan family will be there. We will stand up and shut it all down if we don't get justice. You got to come up. Get ready. Y'all remember the letters D, E, I? Dominique is coming up in a moment. What happened?
What happened to all the money they said they got for the mentally ill?
What happened to all of the money they got for the mentally ill? That could be next week's. Did you know? That could be in next week's. Thank you. Send that article in to nanyouthhuddle@gmail.com. So, I'm going to say these 3 letters, and I know we've been talking about it, but listen. D, E, I. Come on, Dominique, share some words with us. Welcome, Dominique Sharpton, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. So my article is talking about, as we know, we've been protesting DEI. We've been outside all over the nation, really, talking about this, raising our voices around keeping DEI alive. And on Friday, the White House Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion announced it is closing its office of DEI.
Oh, no.
Yes. Congress's DEI office is disbanded as part of $1.2 trillion in funding package. It's a win for the Republicans as diversity office is dissolved and its director announces that she is leaving. Congress is facing a government funding deadline that passed on, I believe it was yesterday. When was the 22nd? Day before yesterday. So that was the deadline for the funding deadline for them to submit the funding. Speaker Mike Johnson was able to get enough votes to pass a massive government spending bill nearly 12 hours before the funding bill expired. Conservative Republicans were not afraid of forcing a shutdown and almost tanked the vote, saying it's not fiscally responsible. So tucked into the sprawling $1.2 trillion of government funding bill that passed in the House on Friday was a provision that shut down the House Office of Diversity and Inclusion. Effective on today, the office will close as of today, with some of its staff transitioning to the newly formed Office of Talent Management. So the DEI staff is moving over to the Office of Talent Management. The nonpartisan Office of Diversity and Inclusion was first formed in March of 2020 and supports diverse hires with things like resume workshops and professional development fairs. It was a victim of the movement from Republicans to eliminate DEI programs across the country. On behalf of ODI, it has been an honor to help ensure that the United States Congress embodied a qualified and representative workforce that reflected the country's vast tapestry. That was Director Sesha Joy Moon said in a statement. But just 12 hours ahead of the government funding deadline that would have triggered a shutdown, Speaker Mike Johnson shepherded a $1.2 trillion spending package through the House. Now it heads to the Senate, where a successful vote is expected soon. In the interim, some of these offices, one notably being the Office of DEI, is closing. Now, we have a lot that we can say here. Obviously, we know how these cards are being played. The question is exactly like how far is too much before enough is enough, right? So we're seeing that DEI offices are closing. We're seeing in corporations, they're, making amendments and things to overrule DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, arms of corporation in certain corporation or offices in certain corporations. But now to the White House, this is getting to be a little overwhelming. It's very scary. And if Congress can override and shut this office down, then imagine what other surprises we have coming before us before we get to Election Day. So I just wanted to mention that, and also mention that there is no real plan of action in terms of what they're going to do with this office being closed. We know that the staff is moving over to Talent Management Division. I don't know what that is exactly, but I think that this is clearly an indication that we're in a lot of trouble. We're in deeper trouble than we think we are. And I think that there needs to be a succinct plan of action to deal with how these things are, this like the ripple effect, how these things keep happening. What do y'all think we should do?
Okay, I think I have a solution, and I think it's been there all the time, is, President Kennedy did affirmative action, and affirmative action gave birth to EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And I myself did it a lot with the city, the state, the feds, many times. And what's happening is people are getting in, like I said at the top, and they're becoming greedy, they're not being trained right, and they're robbing. And I'm going to give you a concrete example. Social services started a lot of back to work. People used to get welfare, but they had to work, and they were working sometimes in the parks or whatever. Then they started to put people back to work in contracts with this program. For example, the state building is an example. I don't know, Con Ed is an example. I don't know if Con Ed went through it, but people who aren't working, they would put them in security. Now, security is the most important thing, and when you have a big company like Con Edison or the state building, it should be government because it makes a strength and a unity and an importance and equal opportunity for everybody. Everybody's working for the state, and there's certain tests that you have to beware of con artists and criminals that try to get over on you. So what they did is they took people from social services and they said, oh, I could do it cheaper, instead of making that a government or Con Ed, and they started to steal from the company or the government, pocket the difference, and put people on, so it looks like they increase employment. A lot of people are employed, they get off social services, but it was scamming because they were robbing the money. So we all have to be really active, and with the EEOC, which is like a little bit of a court when somebody does something wrong, like it could be in a university, somebody steals your degrees, or they steal your salary, your employment identification number. When people are getting away with a lot of these things, that's what gets rid of it. And then I said from the very beginning, in education, inclusion means that people that have some kind of cognitive disability too gets in, because the schools used to be homogenized, mean people that get tests and they scored the same on intellectual tests and decision making, they would be grouped together and they would learn the same thing, but the smarter and the quicker learner would get more detail. That's more security, especially in states like New York, because we have a well diversity. So that's what inclusion actually meant, and sometimes it was not good. And I think there needs to be an investigation, because the state building, like I went to Alvin Bragg, and the security tells you need an appointment for the DA. The DA says you don't need it, and if you go there, the security that's downstairs that isn't working for the state, and they're like a victim too, somebody tells them to go up and screen the people in the DA like me, where my teacher salary is stolen and everything else, and my degrees, my master's and my bachelor's, and I have my transcripts, and I tried with the EEOC, and the enemy got in. So we need to do the checks and balances, and we need to pray to God for justice and truth in our democracy.
Jonka, thank you. Thank you.
Now, first of all, that made me upset because they said they're going to move them to the entertainment segment, talent segment. Talent management. So you trying to tell me again that all us blacks got is sports and entertainment? Oh, that bothers me. That really bothers me. So you want to close down the office, you take out all of our structures so that we don't have nothing to stand on. Well, Sister Word is right here. She getting ready to tell y'all to vote. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So you stop making it a game. Get more. We need to get more outside. I be outside fighting. Why don't y'all kids come over here? Why don't y'all come learn? Why don't y'all come learn? More people need to just start stopping and saying, "Come learn, come learn, come learn, come learn." Come learn, and push them into learning. Or tell your friend to come learn. Tell your daughter to tell her friends to come learn. Tell your son, tell your cousin to come learn, so that we know what we're doing in order to keep the fight alive when they trying to do something like this to us and push us out and make it look like, oh, we didn't do nothing. You did it to yourself, because it's not fair.
Thank you so much.
I told you the word vote is very popular.
I love it.
It's the reality. It's really the reality. And the point I want to make during the other did you know, but I'm going to make it now, we're taxpayers. So whatever funding they have for these organizations to give out funds, give them to everybody. We're paying taxes into those programs. So I can hear saying, oh, we need to get together and do it for ourselves, but are we going to keep our tax money for ourselves? No, we're paying taxes. We're entitled to all the funding, all the programs that they have available, because our tax money is there too. Okay, let's go back to this subject here. What did we expect from the Republicans?
Right, that's true.
No, really, what did we expect? They are, listen here, if we thought in this day and time we would never face the racism that our ancestors did, we are facing it hardcore. I am stunned how much racism I gotta face today. But I know the solution. Our ancestors already achieved it. This voting is not light. People gotta understand, voting is so powerful, that they're trying to take it every which way and trying to make us depressed in the process. We cannot get depressed. We got to vote.
That's right.
They say they're going to close it up. Close it down, okay, we're going to vote somebody in to open it right back up. That's what we got to do. Vote somebody in to open it right back up. And Biden is making those promises. Democrats are making those promises. Vote them in, and they're going to open it back up. So don't you fret about this. Just get in the polls and vote for democracy.
That's right.
God bless y'all.
God bless you.
As last week, I had to go with my neighbor to get a test done. But I'm willing to get out there and march in front of that courthouse where that young man, our brother, got choked to death by that murderer.
That's right.
All right now.
How you doing? Ezeline Parson, grandson. Yvonne Lee. I understand where y'all coming from. Yes, democracy. Only sports? I think we came from, well, not think, I know. We came from scholars. We came from educational knowledge. And you say Moors, we are Moors, but I'm a Pharaoh. That's stronger than Moors. A goddess, I'm a Pharaoh. We are resilient. They said never say never. People, places, and things. I shouldn't go over there, right? So I'm never going to go over there because it's going to bring me back to a place that I don't want to go. Have a blessed one, y'all. Vote. I love y'all always.
Thank you so much. So obviously we're going to keep watching this, keep monitoring this situation. And we know that as they're rolling out this budget, $1.2 trillion budget, we're expecting to see exactly where a lot of this funding is going and being allocated and why things like the DEI offices are closed. So we really do need to ask for some answers more than what we're getting. And as Sister Word said, democracy requires us to what? Vote. We gotta vote. So we gotta get ready for that. But we do know that there's a lot of work ahead, and these types of articles tell us why we are in this fight and why we're working so hard and what the fight entails. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dominique. DEI, and join them on Thursdays at 12 o'clock. They need you. And we're gonna wrap up with our last Did You Know of the evening. And I have two words for you. Candace Owens. That name sound familiar to you? Well, Mo is going to come up and tell you a little bit about Candace Owens. Maybe some of you follow her. You know, I don't know. But Mo will get it out of you. Come on, Mo.
Thank you. Good evening, Huddle Clan. So you all are familiar with Candace Owens? Somebody give me where you know Candace Owens from. Break down Candace Owens. Who's Candace Owens? Miss Word.
She's a good friend of Kanye West, and she's been accused of all type of racist-like statements and actions. And she claims to be a big supporter of Republicans.
All right.
Okay, that's to the black delegation. She is seen as a sellout.
There you go. Say it.
Some would call her Oreo. She has a white husband.
Crazy.
Trump supporter, Republican supporter, probably has Fox News in her favorite channel watching list. That's Candace Owens. But as of lately, some blacks, male and female, have come forward admitting that although they don't like her 100%, sometimes it's hard to disagree with her with some of the points that she makes. So she's on tours right now where she goes to like colleges, universities, and she'll sit on the stage and just let people ask her random questions, no matter what it is, and she'll respond, no matter what it is. You should really check it out. Usman definitely took her on. He definitely, if you go on YouTube, matter of fact, after this over, I'm going to find that link. Usman from NAN, the Huddle, he definitely took Candace Owens on. You all need to see that. That's something that deserves a projectile here. We're going to find that because that has to be watched. Usman stepped up to her. Usman stepped up to Candace Owens. Okay, so this article is about Candace Owens and podcasting. I'm going to break it down. A month or so back, I listened to a clip from the Joe Budden podcast. Joe Budden is a rap artist turned podcaster, in which the crew played a snippet of Candace Owens, the worst black woman in existence since Mary J. Blige's character on Power Book 2. Whoa. Hold on now.
Wait a minute.
Giving Ariana Grande a verbal drubbing for being excuse my French, giving Ariana Grande a verbal drubbing for being a hoe. Everyone on the pod, even the spokeswoman Melissa Ford, gave Owens props for her takedown. It was a bizarre moment even for a podcast that prides itself on being contrarian from contrarianism's sake, especially since Owens has made a career off of taking black people to task to appease her white listeners. Budden didn't just side with Owens, he was intrigued. So color me unsurprised when Budden and Owens linked up for an episode of his podcast, which was released on his Patreon on March 15th. Budden's homeboy, Charlemagne, the God, also has the platforming... Oh, there's a lot of curses in here. Okay, I just didn't see it coming, sorry. My digi nose usually don't have bleeps. I sure did scan over. I didn't do it, though. Sorry. Budden's homeboy, Charlemagne the God, also has the platforming of a beep thing down bad. His Breakfast Club radio show recently interviewed Republican presidential candidate and inevitable loser, Nikki Haley. Haley, who just been cooked for refusing to acknowledge that the Civil War was about slavery on this black show, and refused once again to explicitly acknowledge that racism is the lifeblood of America. When you look at the inequalities in America and education, you know home ownership, employment, and wealth, health care. Charlemagne asks, can you admit that America is systematically and structurally a racist country? I think culture has a lot to do with it, right? She responded. That Owens and Haley are both women of color is immaterial, but it might actually make them more dangerous. This isn't the first time Charlemagne, DJ Envy, and company have placed a spotlight on terrible humans. They took an on-air phone call from OG conservative, Death Adder, Rush Limbaugh about George Floyd's murder. For the uninitiated, a brief primer on Owens. She's a different brand of foul right-wing effery. She's built a career downplaying racism, hoisting up Donald Trump, and promoting homophobia, sexism, ableism, and any other ism you can muster, all in the name of getting black folks away from the Democratic Party, and all while being a dark-skinned black woman. Among her headline, Making Absurdity, she testified to the House Judiciary Committee about how white supremacy is not nearly as big as a deal as a culture that doesn't promote masculinity, and walked down a dark path with Kanye West using the hip-hop culture she often condemns to her own benefit. Unsurprisingly, Budden let Owens speak with little pushback as she went through a medley of rancid talking points, including the idea that black people will be free or structural, institutionalized racism if only we think our way out of it. She reminded him that black rappers once loved Trump, who was only being misinterpreted because of the media and not because of what's come out of his own darn mouth in the last 8 years. Owens isn't the first black conservative, but she's among the most noxious and most followed, with millions of supporters across multiple platforms. And Budden likes her energy because she talked ish about Ariana Grande. Budden's homeboy, Charlemagne the God, has the platform and a-holes thing down bad. His Breakfast Club radio show recently interviewed Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley. That was a repeat, sorry. Charlemagne was pictured in 2016 with conservative blonde mudslinger and former donkey of the day. Remember Tomi Lahren, the white woman from Fox News? She was a white blonde. She wasn't on Fox News. She was auditioning on YouTube, trying to get on Fox News by always disagreeing with black people and talking down. Her name is Tomi Lahren. She was like the white version of Candace Owens. He claimed it was a publicity stunt, but he knew who she was when he walked with her. Like black folks are walking shoulder to shoulder with David Duke just because. Defenses for these men in their choice of white supremacist guests have largely fallen into the let's hear both sides argument. But everyone can miss me with that. Why do we need exposure to the side of fomenting anti-blackness and general hatred? Owens has several million followers and all the space in the world to get off BS so ridiculous that I'm not even sure she believes it. She's in no risk of not having her side heard, and there's zero reason to black media to engage her in dialogue outside of getting money, because not all money is good money or ethical money. Owens is ecstatic that black media is giving her play right now because obscenely, she believes black folks are on the verge of an awakening that will see us dip out from the Democratic Party en masse and finally acknowledge that toupee fiasco will bring us all to the promised land, whatever that means. But I think she's excited about getting to the flex her intellect over button. Owens is very loud and frequently wrong, but she's not stupid, and she knows that Button couldn't hang with her intellectually. In contrast, I bet she wouldn't step foot on Roland Martin's show. Charlemagne and DJ Envy can also get steamrolled by their guests. And that's just one of the problems with these podcasts. Another is their tendency to demean women while claiming to boost them up, making them manosphere podcasts in disguise. And if they're not platforming anti-blackness, they're going in the polar opposite direction. Button and the Breakfast Club have both hosted Dr. Umar Johnson, a man who, oddly enough, espouses the same homophobic pro-masculinity messages as Owen, but framed in a pro-blackness way. Balance, right? It doesn't matter if your guest is on some clock is right twice a day stuff. If their message is consistency that of racism, discrimination, and wholly unnecessary attacks or marginalized groups, find another guest. I'm sure Button and Company can find someone else who thinks Ariana Grande is a hell. Okay, so this basically is Candace Owens is the topic of subject of the moment, but it's basically talking about black podcasting. So for those that are not sure what podcasting is these days, it's like a branch off of what radio is. So you have your radio shows like The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne, DJ Envy, and Angela Yee, now replaced with Jess Hilarious. But the podcast is more of like an offset. You can go online and listen to it. You can listen to it on your Amazon. These little podcasts that are being made is just another form of radio that is more tuned to social media and how social media works. But most of the black podcasts and black social media, remember when we talk about this stuff, we're talking about black social media. So in black social media with these podcasts, because most people don't listen to the radio these days unless they're in their car. Like listening to it on a boombox is kind of obsolete these days. So people listen to podcasts and social media like Instagram, they put up so many clips of these podcasts. So Joe Budden is one podcast that's probably one of the top 5 podcasters in black culture. He's like up there. Another one, Breakfast Club is still a radio show, but Charlemagne has a podcast when he's not on the air. And then you have all these other podcasts. And most black podcasters, they talk about either black men versus black women. Should we go 50-50 in the house? So these really things that's not really important. And then if they do talk about politics or something that is of meaning, it's always brought on by somebody like Umar Johnson. They pro-black it. Nobody else can have an input on it, and they just let people go in there and rant. So my question about podcasts is, how can podcast hosts, because even a while back, before podcasting became really, really hot, Ashley did a trial run with Patrice and me with a podcast. And it was more so based on civil rights and politics, and we made sure it was gauged in that way. We did a couple trial ones. This was before podcasts really took we was on it first. I just want to say that. Ashley was on it first. She was the original podcaster. She was just behind the scenes, but she was the original podcast. She was Joe Budden. So now that everybody has one, because it seems like all you can do is just go to B&H or Radio Shack, get a microphone, a monitor, and sit down in a quiet room and just go. And if you're talking about ignorant stuff and stuff that keeps getting reposted, you'll get a deal from some big radio company like Viacom or something like that, get $1 million contract, not knocking the bag, but on what platform and on whose backs and whose foundation did you have to demean and disrespect to get that bag and talk about what on the pod? Because the average podcast on black social media is basically just talking about the same things over and over. Black men versus black women. Women being hoes, men being cheaters, men being broke, men emasculating men, disrespecting the women, but acting like you're trying to uplift the women is the same thing on every single podcast. And when they shift over and try to bring on somebody like Candace Owens or Umar Johnson or those type of people, it's always, it's like a Samo thing. It's like a song and dance. It's like a shuck and jive when they come on there, because the people that are interviewing them don't really have the expertise to interview somebody like Candace Owens or Umar Johnson, just like they said in there. They don't have it. They don't ask the right, for instance, Shannon Sharp. When Shannon Sharp interviewed Cat Williams, Cam Newton, when Cam Newton interviewed Charleston White, these people were talking serious stuff and asking serious questions, and not disrespecting Shannon Sharp, but he's a football player, a retired football player that has a lisp and cracks jokes. You put him in front of a microphone, everybody think he's Barbara Walters or somebody of that level, and they're not at all. But they're making the culture look bad as a whole. So when it comes to my question, my one question I ask, somebody like Candace Owens, who's a black woman, at the end of the day, she's a black woman. She has melanin. She's not light, she's black. She has the features and everything. Her husband is white, but when she came into the game, she came in with the angle, let me say I'm a Republican, let me be in favor of the Republican Party, let me promote Fox News, let me go against black people, and then down the line say the reason why I was going against them is because I want to bring them out of this false reality that being a Democrat is a good thing. That's basically what she's trying to do. She's trying to pull blacks out of the Democratic Party. She's trying to preach how being a Republican is far better and far more resourceful and far more giving, and that whole Democratic thing is just a facade. Like, black people are supposed to be Democrats by birthright. Like, that's really helping. So how do you feel about somebody like Candace Owens being a black woman and kind of straddling the fence and kind of making her name and making her bones on the backs of black people who really have to struggle out here with these laws and these prejudices and this disrespect and this bigotry? I see Ms. Word coming. Tupac's coming. AKA Anthony Nash. Thank you. Here you go.
Really quickly, either you hot or you cold. Otherwise, God will spew you out of his mouth for being lukewarm.
Thank you.
Well, I want to tell you, it was really nice to hear that y'all had a podcast. No, 'cause I really didn't know about it. But, knowing that, and, knowing who we are as National Action Network, please consider that. Again, please. And for the most part, we don't necessarily have to have guests. If they want to come along because they know what we really are about, okay. But when we talk among ourselves, I'm a talker. I've seen shows where just you talk among yourselves and you're making sense, you'll get an audience.
That's right.
So this woman's going to do what she do. It is what it is. I mean, she's representing. So National Action Network, please consider your own podcast and show them the other side, because these people are not going to change, and we're not supposed to be trying to change them if we're going to ignore what we're supposed to be doing. So it's a beautiful thing. And, right now I'm so glad this is the platform, because, it seems like, there's people making sense out here. Thank God we're a group of them also. But we need to spread ourselves out. And a podcast sounds like really great. So, consider me a supporter if you ever decide to do that. And Candace can do what Candace does, whatever. Yeah.
No, that's right.
Thank you. We may have to revisit that.
I know, right?
I don't know nothing about that lady. I don't even know too much about that judge that's married to that white, the judge up there that's in Washington that's married to that white woman. He had a hard time trying to marry her because he is black, and he was trying to marry her. His name is Thomas, whatever his name. Clarence Thomas. He's hard. He had a hard time marrying her. He begged them people.
Yeah. Take this with you so you can learn about Candace Owens and read a bit about it.
There you go.
Okay, so final thought. So, like Ms. Word said, let this lady does what she does. I just ask because some people may see her as a representation of the black delegation, which she does not represent 100% of the black delegation at all with her antics. If you recall, back in the day, Stacey Dash tried to pull this same thing. She was kind of the first Candace Owens before Candace Owens even came about. I need to look up Candace Owens' age. And it didn't quite work out for Stacey Dash. This has always existed, I'm sure, since back before anybody in here was probably even born with, the House Negroes trying to shuck and jive their way in and, play whatever they need to play for massa or however we describe it. But, this is why a thing like social media needs to be used as a proper tool. Because when you look at black podcasting, for those who are not online, all is seen as, most before they started adding people as guests, it was just a bunch of people talking without anybody interjecting or having any people on the show. That's how it started out. Then they started to bring people on just to help with their spins and their views. But a podcast should be operated like that. A group of people, like-minded people who are well-versed in conversation in different topics, discussing it, nobody able to come on the show and debate it until they get in the comments or until they speak their own mind. So when they see you in the street or see you in person, hey brother, hey sister, I like what you said on that podcast. Y'all be talking real stuff on there. Because that's definitely what we was doing when we had the podcast here. We were having real conversation. It wasn't about what the average podcast. We was talking about real current events, politics, life, choices, law. Like, we were really discussing it. We was really getting to it. So I think you guys should really get on the boss about bringing that back. Get on her, keep throwing it to her. And that concludes my Did You Know? Good night.
Thank you so much, Mo. And I just want to wrap up. See, we did 4 great Did You Knows. We talked about PPP fraud. We talked about Jordan Neely. We talked about DEI. And we talked about Candace Owens. We have one more to go, and we're going to wrap it up. Activism. We're going to call up our brother Anthony, and he's going to come in his own way. And then we're going to close out in prayer and get some food and make our way home. Please, everyone, welcome Anthony from our Arts and Culture Department.
Thank you, everyone. As usual, I'm most humbled to be here. This is a beautiful opportunity. I loved all of the Did You Knows. They were very informative. That's why I like being here. I love being here. I might not be young as all the young people, but I'm learning. I'm still learning. That's right. That's right. I'm a kid at heart. I started to send a text. I just didn't want to send it because I thought it would hit the wrong way. But the text said is I wanted to appeal to the highest court in the land. And so I want to appeal to the child inside of you. We're all having a human experience. So let us do it in the most godly way possible. Please, and enjoy it together with a golden heart and little golden stars. I didn't want the person to think I was trying to, talk to them. So I just said, you know what, I'll share it with everybody. So pass it along verbatim. This evening, we have a poem from Sister Janice Word. I was reading this poem over and over again, trying to make sure that I get the points and really hit them hard, because this is a strong, beautiful poem that she wrote, and it's wonderful. So I couldn't find the mailman, so I'm going to be the mailman and the hype man and every other man, and I'm going to read this poem. It's very beautiful. Here we go. Some wonder why this devalued brink, and conclude racists wrongfully believe that a lot of us do not think. Just killing, stealing, and who to rob. But a lot of us do think of pride, of God. Firebomb, firebomb. I got the mail. Did you get the message? That was the message. Now, let us not avoid the devious thug. To our own people, some are selling drugs. Firebomb, firebomb. I got the mail. Did you get the message? When you think of yourself with honor as wealth, there is a greater chance you will save yourself. Firebomb, firebomb. I got the mail. Did you get the message? Others will follow. Some stay in sorrow. But I guarantee a better tomorrow. Firebomb, firebomb. I got the mail. Did you get the message? Family, friends, and teachers of children. Teach them the difference between right and wrong. Teach them their unique history. Teach them their unique history to enable them to grow proud, wise, and strong. Firebomb, firebomb. I got the mail. Did you get the message? That's it, and that's all. That's it. Discrimination. And that's all we shall overcome. Firebomb, firebomb. I got the mail. Did you get the message? But we must take a glimpse at how some of us contribute to those that are against us. I'm going to say that again. But we must take a glimpse at how some of us contribute to those that are against us. Firebomb, firebomb. I got the mail. Get that message. Some parents allow their children to dance in perverted ways, and it often goes live stream and is often seen, which incite known offenders to make some of children their victims. Firebomb, firebomb. I got the mail. Did you get the message? Your kid dancing too perverted? Somebody looking at him. Drive-by shooters. Some brag that it's good. But some are killing people in their neighborhoods. Who is to blame for this shame? Some think it's cool. Some say it's all game. Firebomb, firebomb. I got the mail. Did you get the message? That's it, and that's all. Beautiful. It's beautiful. This is a beautiful, beautiful poem that I was sitting in and I was rehearsing. So I want to give y'all my little clip again. Affirmative action. It's time to ride. We outside. We outside. DEI. It's time to ride. We outside. We outside. The young people told me. Say that, OG. We outside. We outside, this our civil rights ride. We outside, no justice,
No peace.
yeah. We outside, no justice,
No peace.
ride. We outside, no justice,
No peace.
ride. We outside. I want some of y'all hottest rappers to see if you could give me some conscious music for that. All of y'all, Eminem, 50 Cent, Jada Kiss, Nasty Nas. You got something for this? Fat Joe, come on, you got something for this? Something conscious and positive. No N words, no B words, no alluring to the streets like you still out there. Let the people know that you change.
All right, put your hands together for Anthony from our arts and culture. We outside. That's what he said, we outside. We doing good on time. Christian will be so proud of us. All hearts and minds are clear. Make sure that you try to share this live with someone on your Facebook. Hashtag Nan Youth Huddle. All hearts and minds are clear. They hung him high. They stretched him wide. He hung his head. For all of us, he died. That's love. Let us pray. God, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for the Youth Huddle. We thank you for the National Action Network. We pray over the food, those that prepared it, those that are serving it. We ask you to bless us to get back to our houses safely. We ask you to watch over our young people, God, in whatever capacity there is, and help us to always remember that you are Jehovah Jireh. We ask all of your children under the sound of my voice to say amen. God bless you and happy Huddle Monday. Do it for the next Huddle. Tell him to make sure he's here Monday. Oh, that's the guy that's on the fashion show with the colorful stuff. That's it? Oh, that's somebody else. Oh, that's nice. Well, you can represent him next week. Nobody don't see it. Just put it on next week. I'm like, nobody don't see it. Put it on next week. For sure. They don't see that. They don't know. Fashion is fashion. We outside.